Hi guys, I'm Tassine.
And I'm John.
Welcome to our channel Millennial Fire, where we give practical tips on reaching financial independence and early retirement.
And this video is a bit different than our typical video. We were actually recently honored to be a part of the Real Estate Full Circle podcast with Guirand, and they interviewed us about our real estate journey. So if you're interested, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let us know if you like this format of video. It's a bit longer than our typical video, but we feel like it's some great information for you guys in this. So check it out.
All right. On today's Life Full Circle, we have John and Tassine. They're investors. They're amazing. I had the honor and privilege to work with them. They are doing some amazing things, and I like what they're doing. So I want to shine basically a spotlight on them tonight to kind of give you a different aspect, because I always talk about real estate investing. I always talk about flipping and actually have a rental property. These two actually have rental property, and we had a great connection when we first met. We met at TKC, and they just kind of took off. Now they got a whole fire thing going. They doing their thing right now. I love it, and they're educating people about it, and they do it while having a full-time job. Like, that is amazing. People tell you all the time that you can't do real estate investing without having a job, or you got to quit your job. You don't necessarily have to do that. So I'm gonna let John and his beautiful wife introduce themselves and kind of talk about what they're doing. So John, Tassine, kind of tell us who you guys are and what are you guys doing in the space of real estate?
So my name is John Adusatema. I'm a software developer, which is a full-time job, at least 40 hours plus a week. And on the side, we also do real estate. And while doing this real estate thing, we've learned that it's been a great investment and it's been a great journey so far. And it's a great tool to build wealth. And so while we've learned a lot, we've also decided to start a YouTube channel. So that's another thing we do on the side. So full-time jobs, real estate, and YouTube. And I'll let my lovely wife, beautiful wife, talk.
And I'm Tassine, and I'm a nurse. I work 30 to 40 hours a week, and we had a dream. Well, it was John's dream first, and then I got on board after, a little convincing, to retire by the age of 40. And we didn't know exactly how we were going to do it. But then we stumbled upon real estate investing, rental property investing particularly, and we realized that was the key. So that's what we do now. We still work our full-time jobs, and we save as we can and our goal is to buy at least one rental property every year.
Ooh, I like that. So as you can hear, everyone watching and tuning in, these two developed a way to still have their jobs and still invest in real estate. And they're still doing it while still maintaining their life and their lifestyle. They may have made some sacrifices, but they're still able to do it. So there's other options out there. Why real estate?
So first of all, I'm a big believer in only gambling when I intend to gamble. I only like to gamble when I'm actually playing poker. Outside of that, when I'm investing, of course, there's always risk, but you want to try to mitigate risk as much as possible. And real estate is one of those places where you're able to do that. Like I said, there's risk in everything, but I always like to bring things down to a logical level, right? So I ask myself, if I'm investing in something, I want it to be something that's long-term. I don't want to just invest in a fad. Real estate, literally, there's no more earth being created. Maybe we're going to inhabit another planet at some point. But buying real estate, buying land, you're literally owning a part of the planet. That's never going away. People are always going to need food to eat, and they're always going to need a place to stay. So for me, that makes real estate a stable investment.
Yes. Tassine, I mean, you signed up on board with John's vision with this.
Yeah, so I actually kind of paid attention to my father. He kind of fell into real estate investing because he was chasing that American dream, buying a bigger house every time that he was able to. But he learned along the way that instead of selling it, if I can keep it and rent it out, I can still have passive income. And so I kind of saw from his example that owning property was the way to go, because he's now in retirement and he doesn't have to worry about where his money's coming from. He has passive investments that are helping him sustain the same quality of living that he was maintaining when he was working. And so when John brought up the idea, I was kind of already, I knew that we had to own our own place. Like that was like a no-brainer for our house that we were going to live in. But then after we bought our house that we were going to live in and he brought up the idea of investing, I saw it firsthand that it was a good idea. I just didn't know exactly how we were going to do it. And so at that point, I told him that we had to do more research and actually know what we're getting into before we do it. And after, we read a few books and we decided to take the leap of faith, and you were there for that journey. And we don't look back and we don't regret any of it.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Because I remember when we was looking for your deal, see, you was a little hesitant. John was like, I'm ready to go right now. So he's like, hold up, brother. Pump the brakes. Let's really look at all this and make sure this works. Let's make sure that we don't get in over ourselves. John's like, nah, this is the way to go. So a lot of people are scared of real estate because they don't know what to do or how to kind of do it, because they think that it's only available to a certain amount of people or just a certain niche of people. And I think real estate is a vast thing. Like, you start with your own house. Like, you didn't just jump in investing. You actually bought your first house first.
Right.
And then you started investing.
Right.
So for you, it was a little different. But I tell people all the time, like, take that initial leap of faith, go ahead and buy your first house. And then you can see how you can navigate, move it. Because that allowed you guys to actually, we didn't get into this, but you rented some of those rooms out.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that was a big part of getting over that initial fear. Because, of course, when people think of rental real estate, the first thing they think of is having a horrible tenant that burns down your house and then you're out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what we were able to do when we bought our first house, it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And turns out we're pretty simple people. We ended up only using 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom of that house. And we had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom just kind of sitting there and an office. And so those rooms were kind of just sitting there, not doing much. And we had a friend that was in town going to Full Sail College, paying a lot of money for rent and also trying to work and stay in school. And we were like, hey, man, why don't you come stay with us for a little bit, pay us just a little bit of rent and not worry about the headache of having to go to work and go to school. And that's how we fell into having our first tenant. And so we got, house hacking. Yep, definitely. And so we got into learning how to manage tenants. Even though it was our friend, we still had to set up how to collect rent, how to deal with them and have that awkward conversation if rent was late and things like that. So that kind of got us on our training wheel journey to dealing with tenants. And so it was great. If anybody is in the position to house hack, it is one of the most amazing tools to get into real estate right now. Even if it's something like living with a friend or going and buying a house and having friends move in, you can get a lot of that experience of being a landlord.
So you mentioned house hack, right? So this is something that I mentioned to a lot of people, like on my peers or in like the space of real estate, or not just real estate, but are like in my peers, people who already have like maybe a good stable job or income. So I generally say, hey, I think you need to rent out your room, especially if you're single, you don't have any kids whatsoever. I think that is the pivotal time of your life where you can save any amount between, I would say, $8,000 to $15,000, depending on how you're doing it, and actually get that money and buy your next property. So you learn while doing that, save money. You're not only just adjusting, you're adapting certain situations, difficult conversations, and then you kind of built yourself as you were learning. What most people do is, nah, it's too complicated, I don't want to do it. And then they're like, well, I'm stuck. And even in that, which will lead to our next thing I'm going to ask you is, what were some of the challenges for you when you actually started this? Like, what were the big hurdles? Like, I know one I'm going to get into with you guys later, like that whole thing where we were at the close table with the people, they pay us the deposit money, but we'll get to that part later. We'll get to that one later. However, like, what are some of the challenges outside of that one? What are some of the challenges that is taking you guys to like get started, or even like, that's overwhelming maybe, or may have stopped you from doing it?
So I know for us, when we first decided that we were going to do investment properties, multifamily properties were the only properties that we wanted to do, because we're following bigger pockets, and house hacking was like the thing to like that catapulted Brandon Turner into his investment portfolio that he has right now with real estate. And so that was our idea that, every property we get, we will get a multifamily. And so when we were ready to buy our next property, as you know, the market is crazy right now because there's not that much inventory due to the pandemic, and the interest rates are so low, so everyone's buying houses, and so prices are ridiculous, for even single family homes, and so for multifamily it was even worse. And so we were like, man, should we wait? But we were like, no, our goal is to buy one property a year, so we're gonna have to make it happen. And for a long time, John wasn't on board with condos because of how high the HOA fees were.
They could work too, because I have one I own. They work.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to convince him of that because at the end of the day, he's a numbers guy. So I broke down the numbers and I was like, yeah, this HOA fee is high, but this is the going rent in the area. And so if we're able to get this amount of money, no matter what the HOA is, if the numbers work, our ROI on it was 9.5%, over $300 cash flow. And, I had to convince him that, okay, even though it seems like the HOA is breaking our bank, but if the cash flow is there, then we need to jump on it. And so that was a hurdle because John was like, no, condos, $300, $400 HOA, we're not doing that. but
hey, in real estate, the numbers make sense. It makes sense.
Right.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
So our last property that we just bought was a condo in Altamont for $124,000, which
that's a deal.
Yeah, exactly. And so
3-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Yeah. So
let's not get into how much rent you're getting for that one, but yeah, we'll keep that private. But I already know what the market rate is over there, so I already know what time it is.
Yeah.
I know. I used to live over there, so I know.
Yeah. And so we have to learn how to pivot, because the market, we don't know what the market's going to do, but in every market, there's always going to be a good deal. We just have to find it. So.
Right.
Correct. So, which leads into this. So, I think a lot of us say that we can't find deals, and it's been challenging for me. And I'm an experienced investor, and for me, I've been finding challenging, and even some of my peers in this space, we've have to adapt. So, real estate is like this. You have to adapt and move as the market's moving. You can't stay. One way of doing real estate is never the right way of doing it. You'll learn one way. The core common things will remain the same, 1,000%. But there's other ways that you could do real estate. Like you just pivoted from duplex, because your last one we bought with you was the duplex, and now you went to a condo. So now you're diversifying your portfolio in real estate. Now you're in a condo. So now you just learned a whole different aspect.
Right.
You could do your first house was single family. Now you have a duplex. Now you have a condo. Now you're in all three tiers. And those three tiers are what we call real estate. You have a condo, you have a townhouse, you got a single family, you got multifamily. You're in all three. Yeah. So now you're having the experience of understanding real estate from a whole different level. So if someone's coming in that space saying, hey guys, I think condos are bad, you're like, nope, I already have one. Oh, I think multifamily is the only way. Nope, I have one too. I think single family, nope, we rent the rooms out. So you guys are well diverse in real estate. And I kind of commend you on that because you have to take risks in real estate. Everything is a risk thing in real estate.
Yeah.
Everything. All you're doing is calculating what's your risk tolerance. That's it.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's it. So kind of tell me a little bit, what's your goal with real estate and with all this? Because you're learning a lot now and you guys are adjusting, and I'm happy for it. Because when I met you guys before, you guys were newbies. It was, now you're rock and roll. This is I saw something on my Facebook. I was like, oh, snap, this is their anniversary when we actually bought that duplex. And I was like, oh, crap. And they just bought another one. I was like, oh, they're sticking to that goal. So that's why I was like, Jennifer, reach out to them because they're really serious. They're not playing around with this real estate thing. It wasn't a one-time thing. They're actually going to make this a retirement thing because I preach this all the time. This is not to boast or anything, but I literally haven't paid a mortgage in a couple of years. My tenants have lived and paid for my mortgages for a couple of years. So you're doing that now young before you even really get to your 50s. Imagine that's when you get to that point, that's going to be crazy. Yeah. So what do you think is your goal with this? Because now you figured out somewhat of a strategy for you. So what's your goal now with it? Besides a property a year, because you started Millennial Fire, You're doing YouTube. Like, what is the goal with this? Because you're gonna exceed it at some point. Because I'm watching you guys from afar, so I'm watching it. You're gonna exceed that. So what's really the like core goal for you guys?
So there, for those of you that don't know, there's this community of people out there called FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And
Yep,
the whole goal of this group,
I love it.
yeah, man, the whole goal of this group is just to be able to get financially educated and make the right financial moves so you can reach financial independence or early retirement, meaning retiring before 65, so you can live the life you want to live. The early retirement part isn't the part we focus on the most. It's financial independence. The definition that we stick hardcore to is that financial independence is when your passive income can cover all of your expenses without needing to work a job. So you wouldn't have to wake up in the morning. You wouldn't have to do anything. Your passive income covers all of that. So that's the goal with our real estate. We want to get to the point where we can generate enough passive income that we don't have to work. This doesn't mean that we're not going to work, because honestly, we love the hustle. Like, it's fun. But the thing is that once you reach that level of financial independence, you can do the things you want to do. And one of the things we really want to do is educate other people in finances. We feel that if we have the information that we have now, if we had that 5, 6, 8 years ago, we could be way further. And so we feel like it's just that the information hasn't been shared. And so hopefully we can reach somebody in their life so they can have the information as soon as possible. So that's our goal. That's our passion behind what we want to do with real estate.
That's what's up, guys. That's what's up. So with that being said, like financial literacy is a big part of like real estate investing. Like if you really think about it, if you don't have the money, you can't really invest, right? So you gotta have the money to invest in real estate. So what you mentioned is the key component, because that is what leads you to buy real estate. Because if you don't have money, you can't own real estate.
Right.
Let's just be real, right? So what you just mentioned just now was something that is very critical. So if you're going to educate people, why not bring them into real estate? If they're going to be financially healthy, because you have to be financially somewhat healthy. Not saying not take a risk in the beginning. You might not all be there all the way. And I don't want this coming out, for people thinking that, not take a chance or take a risk. So if you have somewhat of a savings, you have somewhat of an account that you can start the process, please do so. Because what they're teaching you, like I teach people, hey, flip, make money, buy rental property. Like that's what I do all day long. And I love it. You're going from the aspect of, hey, make sure you're financially set and then go invest. Because if you don't understand financial investment, because what happens, you start making all this money in real estate and then you go blow it.
Right.
Or you get lazy, lackadaisical. You're like, this is being paid for, and you drop the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your wife wasn't proactive, you probably wouldn't even own this condo, to be honest. You gotta be somewhat, you gotta be constantly moving and then trying to be better than what you were before. So I actually like that. And for you guys like actually hearing this, like I met with them before they even started this journey. Like you guys have no idea. Like they literally they were like, man, I've been hearing everybody doing this real estate thing. And Tassine's dad was in it. I don't think she really grasped it. Maybe I don't want to say wrong or whatever. But like once you guys got a wind of this, I think it's just catapulted for you guys. I think everything changed from there, because now let's just say, for instance, you're hustling, you're working with a purpose. You're not just working, I'm putting money in my 401k and retire. You're working with a purpose in mind. Hey, I'm gonna have this amount of money. This is paying this bill, and that easily converts into, okay, well now I'm somewhat semi-retired. You paid down all this debt, and you have a portfolio worth millions of dollars. Like that's a whole different retirement. Like we're talking about different. Like that's how most people become rich in the United States. Like stocks, there and there. But people who make money in stocks buy real estate.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you like just hearing what you guys are doing. Like I really love it. So I want to ask you guys this: like, what was your biggest piece of like what information like really triggered it? Like, was it like you read something, or like you were watching someone? Like, what triggered you to start being extremely proactive? Even after you started, is that trigger still what it is for you now? Like, what triggered it? Like, I know your why, but something triggered the real estate for you. Like, you had to watch something or learn from somebody, whatever the case. What triggered it?
we're avid cruisers, or at least we were avid cruisers before this coronavirus thing. But on one of the cruises that we were on, I decided to, try to better myself and read a book. So I downloaded audiobooks before I got on the cruise and read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
I hear that all the time.
Man, when I say this book changed our lives, after this book, I quit my job, went to another job, and pretty much doubled my income. To see, we started doing travel nursing, and that had a lot of income to come with it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the conversations.
Yeah. So just reading that book gave us the concept that we didn't have to live the traditional life. The traditional American life is go to high school, go to college, get married, have a kid, retire at 65. But this book was basically all about having the mindset to break that concept. By the way, if you watch our YouTube video that talks about this book, you can get a free copy of it.
Go check that out, guys. Go check that out. Please go check them out. Millennial Fire, correct?
Yep, yes. Millennial Fire.
Yeah, they're a private Facebook group. Please go follow them because their journey is unique because they have jobs and they do this. So their perspective is completely different from my perspective. And that's why I brought them on, because I do this in a whole different light. Well, this is all my, I have other business ventures, but this is all mine. You're actually working, spending nights at night, calculating. You're doing the dirty work. You're doing the grunt work to get where you need to be. So after you read that book and you listened to it, how long did it take you guys to start?
So I think within a year, because after we read that book, we were ready to get involved, but we didn't know exactly how to. And it was actually a conversation that we had with Sam Abraham, that we asked him hey, we want to get into real estate. What should we expect? And he sat us down, because I was I would want the money that I put down, I want to be able to get it back in a year. That was my expectation, which was so unrealistic now that I realize.
With rental
income. And so,
I'm trying to do that. It's completely different.
Yeah, flipping is another story.
Completely different story.
Flipping is I will go.
But so he sat us down and he let us know that, okay, that's unrealistic. You're probably going to get a certain percentage, 10% is a good amount that you'll get every year. And it's a game that you have to be in it for the long term for you to be able to really succeed in it. And after that conversation, we're I think we could do that. And he actually introduced us to Bigger Pockets. And
what is Bigger Pockets?
And Bigger Pockets is the biggest real estate podcast in the world. And it's Brandon Turner is one of the co-hosts there, and he's the one that coined the term house hacking. And from our introduction through Samuel Abraham to Bigger Pockets, we just learned so much about house hacking, and we learned about so many different ways to invest in real estate. And we decided house hacking was the way that we would go, because as us being working individuals, and we already had a house with a mortgage that was partially being covered by renting a room out. We thought that house hack was brilliant, because we didn't have to have too much money to put down, but we could still gain the same type of returns. And so it took us about a year after the book. Then we had the conversation, and then we probably within 4 months we started looking for properties.
Yep, and then we met you.
Yeah.
So it took a year, and then you guys had conversation, you did research. So that's amazing. So, it's so funny. I think most people read the book, they look at the principles, they acknowledge they know they make a change, but months and months and months and months pass, no change. So you read it, you went did further research, you asked other people who was already in the space for their perspective, and then you're okay, well, cool. So then I think I don't know how we even connected. I think, how did we even connect, guys? I don't even remember.
Pastor David.
I think Pastor David.
How did we connect?
Because he's another person that we talked to. After we talked to Sam, we talked to
everybody at TKC is just real estate, man. It's the real estate icon church.
And that's the thing I definitely want to say. A lot of people get what they call analysis paralysis, where they just feel like they're reading and then they're scared to make that move. But something that made us feel really, really comfortable is reaching out and realizing that you're not alone in the world when it comes to that idea. At first, when we read that book, we were oh my God, are we the only people thinking about real estate? But then at church, like you said, we would talk to this person, real estate. We'll talk to this person, real estate. And we're
Everybody,
like, oh no, we got along with this.
there's a lot of millionaires in our church in real estate. I can comfortably tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. So I know. So and then from there, you talked to Sam, you read the book, you did some research, and then we connected. We start looking for properties. Now, looking for properties, that was a little challenging. Like trying to find the right property.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can get discouraging too. But you guys, you were like, no, this is what we want, because we met twice. I think we met twice at your home, and then we started going into the goals of what you really wanted. And I got to commend you guys for this, because you have not veered from what you told me when we first initially met. Because in real estate, people are like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. No, you said, hey man, I just want to be able to retire. I want to build passive income, and that's how I want to do it. And I think this is the way to do it. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go this route. You didn't say I want to do flip rentals. I want to do this. It's like we're all over the place. You stuck to what you said, and then you made it happen. So we started looking for houses, and duplex, multifamily. Then we put an offer in, I think, on one or two. We didn't get it. I think we had one that we actually got, but then we actually went to sit down. I think that's when we had brought Sam in, and he was like, I don't know about it. And then we ended up finding one that you guys actually purchased, like maybe a week or two later.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. And you guys actually bought that one, and you actually moved in on one side, coined that one. So I remember I was like, hey guys, you can move on one side, because you could homestead that one side. Move that one side, and then you move on one side, and you had the other one already rented. So how is that duplex going for you guys right now? Like, how is that one going? Like, how is that one going?
So it's actually going really great now. So like you were saying, so we bought it and we moved into one side of it. And this is a very, very important thing that was a big move for us, because moving into the one side, we were able to get an FHA loan and put down 3.5%, versus if we didn't live there, we would have to put down at least 20%.
Yeah.
Correct. I talk about that all the time, people.
Yeah.
And so it was a great, great move to get into our first real estate property, and we already had a tenant. So we moved into this place, and Tassine's the numbers person, so I'm going to let her say the initial numbers.
It was less than $20,000 is what we invested initially just to own the house, and we automatically had rent coming in, which is was amazing, because it was able to help us. We were able to renovate the place and already have income coming in. So our mortgage was more than half covered. Our mortgage with taxes, insurance, and everything was at that time it was $1,825, and they were paying $1,345. And so
you were living in one too, though. So let's not forget about that. You were living in one side. Like this is what I like. I try to stress this out, and people tell me, "No, there's not enough duplex out there, and I don't want to live on the other side. I don't want to live next to 10." I'm like, well, how are you gonna make money? I don't get it, because I can guarantee you now that duplex is worth way more than what you bought it for. We don't have to get too much into that, but I know it because I looked it up before you guys came here.
It's definitely cloud.
It works a little something, and you still have cash flow.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we were living in Orlando city limits for $500 a month, less than $500 a month, because so much of our mortgage was already covered.
Not mention that. Close to UCF, like not too far away from UCF.
Yeah, like we were like maybe 7 minutes from UCF or something like that.
Yes, sir.
So Orlando for $500 a month. It's hard to beat those prices. And so it's a great opportunity. If you guys can look into an FHA loan to get into a multifamily, it's a great tool to be able to get into a multifamily, get some tenants for low money down.
Yes. So what they just mentioned to you guys is something that I've been advocating. And I love when people tell me that they can't do something, and I actually have people who've done it. And it's different when people hear me say stuff, but when you say it, they're like, oh, this actually could be done. Because I say the same rhetoric all the time. Like, I love real estate. Like, real estate is what I do. I love it. Like, you can't tell me differently. Like, it is what it is for me. Like, it is what it is. It's not changing. Like, I have assets. Like in the time that we're in now, I'm a Black man who owns multiple properties. I own my own property, and I have assets I can transfer over to my kids.
You're right.
Like, how better does that even get?
It's beautiful, man. Generational wealth.
Yeah.
Like let's not, people downplay real estate. Say, oh, the market could crash. Oh, the price could go down. Yeah, your 401k went down during COVID, though. It went drastically down. And everything has risk, but I just think it's the most secure risk. Like, look at Blackstone. Blackstone holds the most real estate in any conglomerate, any company. And that should tell you something. They're worth billions upon billions.
Right.
So
and I think the thing is too, right? Just like with everything else in life, you hear the extremes of stuff. So you hear the really, really good stories, and then you hear the really, really sad and horrible stories. And I think that's why people often have fear when it comes to real estate, because they'll ask somebody and then they'll hear this story about this person that sued them because they tripped and fell, and now they have to sell their car and they can no longer have their kid in school. Like all these horrible stories. But the thing is like we're saying, yes, there's risk. But when it comes to investment, you have to do everything in your power to mitigate that risk. And that's your responsibility. You can't, yes, you can lose a lot of money in real estate if you don't do your due diligence. Go read books, go talk to people, go make sure that you have the finances, have that strong financial foundation to start on. Because if you get into real estate and you spend every last dollar on getting this rental property and then something goes wrong, what are you going to fall back on? You got to be prepared for those things. So yes, there are risks involved, but you can do things to mitigate that risk. So when something does go wrong, you can make it through that situation. So just to give you an example, because we were prepared in our duplex now, we have tenants on both sides of our duplex renting it out. And due to COVID, and because we love these tenants so much, they're so awesome, we were able to give them a discount for 1 month on their rent. Now, a lot of people have been losing out because they weren't prepared and didn't have emergency funds set up for things like COVID that happened. But because we did, we were able to give a gift to our tenants, and they stayed and renewed their lease. Thank God.
Let's talk about that, John, because I remember when I first met you. I don't know if you remember what I told you. I was like, "Hey, when you get into real estate, you gotta be prepared." Like,
Definitely.
I remember, like I tell you all the time. Like for me, real estate is a tool, is an avenue to gain wealth. And I remember, yeah, that's when you made that good turkey burger too. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was great, but that's off topic. But we had a conversation. I was like, "Hey, man, for you to be able to have the ability to do that, that tells me you are really paying attention." Because I was like, "Hey, you have to be in position to be able to make certain moves. Because if you become a slumlord, you make no money."
Right.
Because tenants hate slumlords because there's a stigma with rental property and people who own it, private owners, that we don't like to take care of people with tenants that we're selfish. And that's further from the truth, because I have tenants now that haven't paid me a dime since COVID. Now, was I tripping? A little bit, but I was like, you know what? I'm a human being. They're a human being. They still got to put food on their table. So I was like, you know what? I am the responsible party because I'm the investor. So I should have been prepared for this. Yeah. So, if you weren't prepared, I'm not saying that's a wrong thing, but God blessed me enough where I'm like, well, I'm not sweating it too much, but this go a little further, I might be tripping, but a little bit. But, I was in a predicament to be able to do that. I was in position. So you were in position.
Right.
So now you went from, I'm just a landlord to the hero landlord. So that's a big tool. And your tenants will probably stay with you for a long time. And longevity in this business is what keeps you going, because that little act of kindness, that tenant will think twice before paying you late. They will.
Definitely.
And like my tenants, like some of them give me like, "Hey man, I didn't have the full 1,400, but I got 800." I was like, "All right, cool, I'll take that. I'm not gonna not take it." But I was like, I gave him that leeway. Granted, I don't know how long I could do this for, but that little leeway is good. So I won't hold you guys too much on here, but I just want to kind of I want to bring you guys in to kind of give a clear perspective of what you went from reading to talking to networking to doing your own research to actually pulling the trigger, and then bought another one and learn. And I think this all happened within a span of actually when you first bought your first property of 2 years. Yeah. I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So your net worth went up, your residual income went up, and you utilized your education of financial freedom. Because I remember you was like, "Hey man, I'm not trying to do no more car payments." I was like, "Bro, you smart. Don't do that. Keep saving your money." So when you think about that, it's going well. And not saying you might not have any hurdles, but it's going well for you guys. And you guys are doing good and you're learning. And now you're re-putting your experience to teach others. And that is very fundamental. And I think that's kind of like your passion, right? because I had here like I know where your passion is. I think that's kind of like it kind of correlates with your Christian values and who you are as a person. I think that's kind of like your passion. Like you want to be free, you want to be able to teach people. And I remember that we did a deal together. You guys went and did another deal. Like you're learning, and it works. It actually works. You have a proven record of what's actually worked, despite having some hurdles, despite having this guy that kind of pissed us off at closing, didn't want to give you guys a deposit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was like. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick little drop. So we closed on the house, and the person that was selling, the idiot, refused to get the tenants deposits. We were thinking about suing them, but John's like, you know what, man, I want to go extra. But I was like, no, forget about it. So that was like one of the challenges, but that was a very small challenge compared to where you guys are at now. That was a lesson learned. And honestly, guys, that was a lesson learned on my part, and it was a lesson learned on their part, because people think, oh, you're doing real estate, you're never gonna make mistakes. That's a lie.
Oh yeah.
That's a big lie.
Yeah.
Thank God that was a small one though. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that's something that we feel as it was a blessing that we were able to experience that in our first property, so that now we're more vigilant in every other property that we buy. And so this little bit of, it was a big amount of money at the time, but now as we're moving forward, it would save us from making even more expensive mistakes in the future, because now we know what to look for.
Yep, that experience is priceless.
Yeah.
Correct. Like that experience, like I think it was like less than $2,800, something like that. Was that something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Something like that. So, but that experience now catapults you to understand moving forward. And actually that helped me too, guys. So like people think like I don't know everything about real estate, guys. I really don't, but I know enough to like help and make money out of it. Like a lot. So, but those little nuggets that you learn now, that stuck with me forever. I was like, yo, why is this guy being like that? Like I would never do it like that. Like, why are you that greedy? But it happened. So now it's more so fine combing, building your system, putting everything in practice. Now you know it. So it helps. So I thank you guys for coming on this live. I actually recorded this for my podcast. And I'm going to drop down all the information for the group. I'll tag them. These two are like, amazing people. I commend them all the time. Although, we don't talk as much anymore because that's because you guys are working. I'm working. We're all grinding. But we're able to kind of like connect. And I'm a big transparent type person. Like, I think from where you've been and where you guys took it, it's amazing. And I want to see what you guys buy next year. John, you always say you want to keep up. I just bought a 5-plex. So.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah, we'll see if we can. I'll see if I can match that next year.
No, but like I love it though. Like you guys are doing it. Go follow them. They're amazing. Get your financial freedom. You want to follow their path? Follow it. You guys want to understand how to flip and go do what I do? Go follow my page, and we'll get in contact. Jump on board while they're in the midst of becoming millionaires, because when they become millionaires, you're gonna have to pay for the class, a bigger amount of money. So, any last thoughts or words you want to share with the people? I'll let you guys go ahead and do it, so we can let you guys enjoy your Thursday night.
Well, the biggest thing that I want to say, and it's something we say all the time, is that we're nobody special. We're normal people. We started from scratch. We started from zero. In my worst,
from negative.
Yeah, in my worst times, right after college.
You guys are good.
Yeah, but I had a credit score in the 400s. I had thousands of dollars in student loans. That's how I graduated college. And we were able to work from nothing and make something. So if we can do it, we know you guys can do it too. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just go out there, get the knowledge, talk to the right people, and start doing something. Because I never believed it when my mom said it, but the older we get, the faster time goes. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be old. So get started today, and your getting started may not be buying a house, but go read a book about a house. Go talk to a friend about a house. Go do something. Let's build this wealth.
Yes, it's critically important. Tassine, Tassine is like, John is like the go-getter. Tassine behind the scene is like the real operator. She be like,
oh yeah, 100%.
I know. She's a lion. She's quiet right now, but bro, I know she's a lion. I know it. Any words to the people?
But no, definitely, like John said, like, don't ever feel like you don't, if you don't know where to start, the place to start is just doing something. And so for us,
Networking.
yeah, so for us, like with the duplex that we bought, we feel like that there's so many times that, like Jean said earlier, that we put an offer on a place and then it didn't get accepted and we got discouraged, and we thought that maybe this is not our time, maybe we shouldn't do it. But I'm glad that we didn't give up, because the property that we actually landed on was even better than the ones that fell through. And
Mm-hmm.
so don't give up, just keep pushing, and even if you make mistakes, you can recover from them. Like it's not, it won't be the end of the world. And so you got to take risks in order to succeed.